The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Commerce and the Ministry of Finance and Planning, in collaboration with the Forum of the Caribbean Group of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, ACP, CARIFORUM, will be hosting a training seminar on public procurement on Thursday, July 21, 2016. This introductory Level 1 training program is designed to raise knowledge and awareness of public procurement and build institutional capacity within St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the context of the implementation of the CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA. The target stakeholders include public administrators in finance, general administration, trade and commerce, the Chamber of Commerce, major suppliers, the private sector and the general public. The training will take place at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs conference room beginning at 8:30 a.m. and will be delivered by a public procurement expert selected by the consulting firm Equinoccio, which has been contracted to execute the 10th European Development Fund EDF project for capacity building within member states of CARIFORUM. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzales has said that public servants here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have had extraordinary improvements in benefits and working conditions over the years. He made the comment on Sunday evening while delivering the feature address at the opening ceremony of the 46th Annual Conference of the Caribbean Public Service Association, CPSA, at the Russell's Auditorium at Stony Ground. Prime Minister Gonzales noted that while this country can boast of these achievements, much more remains to be done in solidarity with one another. Over 200 regional and local delegates and observers are attending the one-week CPSA conference. According to Minister of Economic Planning, Sustainable Development and Labour, Camilo Gonzales, public service unions throughout the Caribbean region are faced with a more difficult challenge relative to other public service entities worldwide. Addressing the opening ceremony of the 46th Annual Conference of the Caribbean Public Services Association, CPSA, on Sunday evening, Minister Gonzales said that this is due to the fact that in the Caribbean, the government plays a mammoth role in the development of the country. He added that we will have in the Caribbean countries' expectations that the government plays a role in the private sector, and there has been a good history of the government being a good force for good in regulating prices and other aspects that are traditionally left in other countries to the private sector. Minister Gonzales said that one of the main drawbacks of having such a large presence of the government in Caribbean countries, and by extension a large civil service, is that regional countries are cash-strapped, particularly given the global economic and financial crisis, as well as other constraints imposed on them as a result of climate change and globalization. The CARICOM Youth Ambassadors SVG Committee will be hosting an interactive panel discussion on the topic Free Up the Herb later this month. The discussion is slated for July 27th at French's House beginning at 7:30 p.m. and will examine the viability or possible outcomes for St. Vincent and the Grenadines if cannabis is legalized or decriminalized. The panel will comprise of Sergeant Brenton Smith of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, Mr. Junior Spirit Cottle of the Rastafarian Community, Dr. Amory Patterson, Mr. Joseph Delves representing the law community, and Mr. Glenroy Brown representing the Christian community. Each panelist will make a 10-minute presentation, after which the floor will be open for the public to ask questions and make contributions. A 2-month-old baby died in Vermont last Friday night. According to Eyewitness News, it is believed that the mother, said to be in her 30s, slept on the child. Investigations into the situation are being carried out by the police. The OECS Authority convened for the first time using video conferencing. The authority welcomed Dr. Timothy Harris, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, to the chair and applauded the significant contribution of retiring Chairman Dr. Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. The inaugural attendance of Alan Chastanet, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, was also noted. Proceedings commenced highlighting the considerable progress achieved by the Economic Union, along with the strong commitment to the revised Treaty of Basseterre and the establishment of the Protocol as being particularly relevant to the economic, social and political advancement of the OECS. All member states were present with the exception of Martinique and Anguilla. The 64th Authority meeting was agreed to be held in St. Kitts and Nevis on the 16th and 17th of November 2016. The government of Japan has pledged its commitment towards advancing mutual relations with the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as the wider Caribbean region in the area of disaster management. This commitment was uttered by His Excellency Mihusiko Okada, non-resident ambassador of Japan to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in his remarks at a signing ceremony this morning at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs conference room. The signing ceremony was to facilitate the exchange of notes for the Japanese grant for provision of disaster reduction equipment. Several government departments, including the National Emergency Management Organization (NEMO), the Environmental Management Unit within the Ministry of Economic Planning, and the Ministry of Transport and Works, will benefit from this grant to the tune of US $1,906,812.68. Ambassador Okada said that this grant aid will be beneficial to St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the area of disaster preparedness, given that the Caribbean is especially vulnerable to natural disasters. St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Japan established formal diplomatic relations on April 15, 1980.